let's talk about German numbers. They seem so simple at first, right? But then you hit a certain point and they just feel kind of backwards. Well, I promise you there is a logic to the madness, and by the end of this, you're going to have it totally mastered. Let's dive in.
So to get us started, I've got a question for you. Just take a look at the number on your screen, 25. How do you think you'd say that in German? No pressure, just give it a quick guess in your head.
Okay, you ready? The answer is 25. Now, if you break that monster of a word down, it literally means 5 and 20. That little flip, that 5 and 20 logic, is the exact puzzle we're going to solve today. To really get that famous German twist, we've got to start with a solid foundation, and that means learning the numbers 0 through 12. You know, just like in English, there's not a whole lot of pattern here. These are the ones you just have to commit to memory. So have a look. You can probably already see some familiar faces here. Null is basically the same. And elf and 12, they sound a lot like our 11 and 12, don't they? The others, like eins, zwei, drei, they just take a little bit of practice. Think of these as the essential building blocks for everything else we're about to do. All right, with those basics locked in, we can finally shift gears. We're moving away from pure memorization and into understanding the patterns. This is where the German system really starts to reveal its secrets. And the very first pattern is for the teens. The formula is actually beautiful in its simplicity. You just take the unit number, 3 through 9, and tack on the word for 10, which is zehn. So you're literally saying 310, 410, and so on. You can see this formula in action right away. 13 is just 3 plus 10. 14 is 4 plus 10. Pretty straightforward, right? But look closely at 16 and 17. To make things sound a little smoother, Germans make a tiny edit. Sechs drops its final S to become sechzehn, and sieben drops the N for siebzehn. It's a small detail, but it's a super important one. And here's the absolute best part, the thing that makes it click. This is a pattern you already know. The German suffix zehn does the exact same job as our English teen. 14 is 14. 19 is 19. The logic is identical. You're just swapping out the word.
Okay, let's keep building. Now for the tens. We're talking 20, 30, 40, and so on. We use a really similar formula. But this time, the magic suffix we add is zig.
So 4 becomes 40, 5 becomes 50. See? It's a pattern. But just like the teens, you gotta watch out for a few little quirks. 20 is 20, a little bit of an oddball. 30 is 30, which uses that special chic ending. And hey, look at 60 and 70. They follow the exact same shortening rule we saw before, becoming sechzig and siebzig. And once again, let's connect this right back to English because it makes it so much easier. The German zig is pretty much their version of our T. 40 is 40. 50 is 50. Once you see that parallel, it's not so strange anymore. Okay, we've laid all the groundwork. We've got our basic numbers, we've got our patterns for the teens and the tens. Now it's time. Let's solve the 5 and 20 mystery we started with. This is the famous German twist. So here it is, the master key. For any number between 21 and 99, this is the rule. You say the unit first, then you say the word and, which is und, and then you say the 10. Unit and 10. It is the complete, total reverse of how we do it in English. Let's try building the number 45 together, step by step. First, you start with the unit. That's 5, so 5. Next, you add and, which is und. And finally, you add the 10, 40, which is 40. Then you just smash them all together into one word. 45, 5 and 40. See how it works? This table really drives the point home. While we're saying 21, a German speaker is saying 1 and 20, 21. We say 68, they say 8 and 60, 68. It feels weird at first, but once you get your brain to make that little flip, the entire system just clicks right into place. Oh, and one last tiny rule for this section, but it's an important one. The word for 1 is eins, but when you stick it into a bigger number, like 21 or 41, it drops the S and becomes just ein. That's why it's 21, not 21. So you've totally cracked the code for all the numbers up to 99. Now what? Well, let's see how you can put these new skills to use immediately with even bigger numbers, and something you'll do every day, telling time. And here's some great news. The bigger numbers are actually way more straightforward. 100 is 100, 1000 is 1000. Pretty easy. You just say them in order, from biggest to smallest, and then you only apply that unit and 10 twist at the very end. So for 2222, the 2200 part is normal, and then the twist kicks in for the last two digits, 22.
Now let's talk about telling time because this is so useful. The simple digital way to do it is super direct. You just say the hour, then the word uur, which means o'clock, and then you say the minutes. And this is a perfect example of why learning that twist is so important. To say 10:45, you'd start with zehn uur, and then you have to build the number 45. Using our rule, that becomes 45. So, altogether, 10:45. Literally, 10 o'clock, 5 and 40. Okay, we have covered a ton of ground. So to make sure all of this really sticks, let's wrap things up by looking at the most common mistakes people make, and then we'll do one last round of practice to lock it all in. Here are the 4 biggest traps to watch out for. Number 1, getting the order wrong. Always remember it's unit before 10. Number 2, forgetting to say und right there in the middle. 3, forgetting those little spelling changes for 16, 17, 60, and 70. And finally, using eins when it should just be ein. If you can keep these 4 things in mind, you are going to sound so much more natural. All right, time for a little pop quiz. You've got 2 challenges on the screen. Write out the number 81 and then say the time 11:52. This little test brings everything together, the twist, the ein rule, and telling time. Go ahead, take a second.
So, how did you do? The answers are 81 for 81, which is 1 and 80, and 11:52 for the time, 11 o'clock, 2 and 50. Seriously, if you got those right, you have absolutely cracked the code. And just like that, the system is yours. You now have the tools to say pretty much any number you can think of. So the only real question left is, what's the next German word you want to learn? Thanks for watching.